Sometimes an artist is asked to illustrate a book that someone else has written. Sometimes an artist writes and illustrates a book by themselves. I want to show you how to put together a story in two different ways. If you remember, we had a story that involved a castle. That would be the setting of the story. Had some characters in the story. Had some knights. Had a princess that went out for a walk. Didn't believe in dragons until a dragon slayer showed up. Said they were professional dragon slayer. And then a dragon showed up. Before the dragon slayer could slay the dragon, they decided to be friends instead, and they came into the castle to have some cupcakes. After that, the dragon's mother showed up. So you've got a story. Now all you have to do is put it down into words so someone reading it will understand it. You can do it very simply with an 8-page book. Just keep it very simple. With an 8-page book, you take a piece of paper, any size paper. Regular copy paper works great if you want to make a bunch of copies of your book to share with friends. But if you have any kind of size paper, this will work just fine. Even if it's a big paper, you'll end up with a bigger book if you just follow this process. Number 1, fold the paper in half. Number 2, take the sides and bring them up to the fold. Take the sides, bring them up to the fold. Once you've got it up to the fold, press it down. Try to be a little bit neat with this so that all the pages end up the same size. If you have to adjust it a little bit as you go, that's fine. Take the other side, bring that up to the fold. From the side, it should look like the letter W or the letter M. Letter W or the letter M from the side looks like this. That's a W. That's an M. Now you take it and fold it the other way. Bring those edges close to each other so your pages are about the same size each. So let me review those folds real quick. Number 1, you take your paper, fold it in half. Try to keep the edges straight. Number 2, take those edges and bring them up to the outside to the fold. Try to keep them right along the fold so all your pages are straight. And fold the other way. When you open it up, it should look like the letter W or M. You want it to look like the letter W. Now pinch in the middle of the top part of that W, and you're going to make a cut right along that fold. But you only want to go from the top and stop right there before you go any further. From the top of that point in the middle down and stop before you get to the flaps that come along the side. Go right along the folded line and then stop when you get to one of the flaps there. Now you take it and you've got the cut in the middle. You roll it down, and from the top it'll look like a T or an X. Flatten these down carefully where it's a little bit puffy. Flatten down the top, and then roll the whole thing together. Once you've got the whole thing rolled together, you've got an 8-page mini book. 8-page mini book. This will be the cover. Don't draw anything on the cover until you finish writing the story. We know that the beginning of the story, the princess goes outside the castle. So on the first one, you might have a little bit of the castle off to one side. And some guards up top. Or just one guard. And you probably have a flag up at the top too with the guard. And the guard is going to say, watch out for dragons. So you want a word balloon. Watch out for dragons. Now the princess doesn't believe in dragons, so you might have the princess down below looking up and saying, I don't believe in dragons. So just a simple sketch there. Next page would be her meeting the Dragon Slayer. Dragon Slayer comes in and has a spear and says, did you say dragons? I'm a Dragon Slayer. And then the next page would be the dragon coming in, the little dragon, Georgie. Have you seen my mother? I'm looking for my mother. And the princess says, oh, he's so cute. And the Dragon Slayer says, I'll slay him. And then the next page probably have, why don't we all be friends instead? Then down in this page you'll have, come on in my castle and let's have cupcakes now that we're all friends. And then the last page here, you might have the mother coming over outside the castle and saying, Georgie, where are you? And then a little bubble say, I'm inside eating cupcakes with my friends. And then the very end, you just write the end. So you would have a mini comic book. Now, on the cover, you have to decide what you want to draw to illustrate the cover. It would be called Princess and Dragon. That'd be the title. And then think about what picture you would want to draw down on the bottom to illustrate what's going to happen inside the book. So when someone picks it up, says, I want to take a look inside that book with the princess and the dragon. So that's one way to illustrate the story. Another way is to just take about 4 regular pieces of paper and fold them in half like you would a normal book. Make sure you keep the edges straight. Fold it in half, and you could either staple them if you have a stapler. 1, 2, 3 staples down the side would be just fine. If you don't have a stapler and you have a hole puncher, if you punch some holes down the side, I usually do about 6. And then you take some string and you can put some string through the holes. When you go to cut your string, make sure it goes twice down the length of your book, plus a little more to be able to tie it. Cut it about where it was, fold it in half. It's just like lacing a shoe. Put one in from one side, take the string and put it through the other side and pull them up together. Do the same thing down the next hole. One from one side, one from the next side. And pull them up to the top. And you just keep on going through one side, through the other side, until you get to the top. Once you get to the top, you probably guessed this already, you tie them like you tie a shoe. From one side, and from the other side, and you put them both together. Tie them like you tie a shoe, or you can put a knot in it. Doesn't have to be a bow. Now, if you just kind of fold along that crease a little bit, back and forth, that'll just make it easy for your pages to open. And then flatten it back out. Now you've got a title page, and you've got plenty of pages to write your story. Now you can make bigger pictures and add more writing to describe the setting and the characters and the action and the dialogue. A lot more space than you did on an 8-page book. So, the best way to get a story is to get some characters, even if you have some toys as characters, or even if you have a couple of tomatoes and I don't know, whatever else you have them do some sort of action in a setting. Think about what they would say to each other. If the story looks good enough to put into an 8-page book or a larger book, start writing and illustrating. No telling where it could happen, where it could end up. Have fun. Make